We are at the Interplanetary Spacecraft Service Station. Here, they are prepared for flights beyond the solar system. No, of course, something more important is done here. High voltage equipment from the Izolyator plant is being tested here, without which neither spaceships would fly into space nor would the light bulbs in our apartments shine. Now we'll show you a plant that the whole country can truly be proud of. The Izolyator plant was founded in 1896 and is one of the oldest electrical engineering enterprises in Russia. It survived the revolution, wars and crises, and without its products, the electrification of the country, industrialization, and the construction of all key energy facilities, from the large hydroelectric power plants of the socialist era to modern nuclear power plants, would not have been possible. In its 130-year history, the enterprise has changed its location only once. In 2007, it moved from crowded Moscow to the Istra municipal district of the Moscow region. Today, we will show you this plant, but first, let us give you a brief overview of what is actually produced here. To reach our apartments, electricity has to travel from the place where it is generated, along transmission lines, through step-up and step-down transformer substations. And at every stage where the current has to pass through the wall of a grounded object, it needs to go through what is called an bushing. That is, a sealed insulated conductor that brings high voltage inside equipment or a building, preventing it from breaking down to the ground. That's right, such high voltage AC and DC bushings with voltage ratings up to 1150 kV are not only manufactured but also designed, serviced, and constantly improved at the Izolyator plant. The bushing itself, to put it simply, consists of a layer of internal and external insulation. The internal insulation is created by winding special electrical insulating paper with aluminum or semiconducting foils placed between the layers. In some cases, special polyester fiber is used instead of paper insulation.
This is already the final practical operation, yes. The core is fully wound and it is being prepared to be removed. The workers have glued the layer. Now they will wind several layers for protection and the core will be moved further for processing.
After that, the core is placed in an autoclave, a vessel where a vacuum is created and it is impregnated with liquid dielectric. This allows air and moisture to be removed from within the insulation. And only after that, the polymerization procedure is carried out, which turns the insulation into a monolith with the required properties.
Here, the frames that have already been prepared for impregnation with epoxy compound are brought in. The lid is closed and the filling process begins. The operator monitors the filling of the frames with compound through these inspection windows. After the frame is filled, the operator shuts off the impregnation for this frame, monitors it for a certain period of time, and then the frame is transferred from here to the nearby impregnation and polymerization chambers. These are the chambers where our frames are impregnated and polymerized. Vacuuming and heating take place here. And then the temperature rise program begins. So heating continues up to a certain temperature. The actual process begins at the polymerization temperature. The item is held at this temperature for a certain period of time, and then it is slowly cooled down. After the cycle is complete, a signal sounds, the item is ready, and you can open the chamber and take out the item. Like hotcakes? Yes, pretty much like hotcakes.
Is this the blank after the polymerization sections?
Absolutely right. This is what we wound, impregnated, polymerized, and it came out of the oven. Now we've prepared them for inspection and further turning.
In the machining shop, the core takes on the required geometric shape. Afterwards, it is inspected by an inspector and sent for operations to make holes for the measuring bushing and to varnish the part that will be in contact with transformer oil. The varnished part is indistinguishable from wood on the outside.
It creates the illusion that it's wood, but in reality, it's our insulating core, yes, protected by 2 layers of special varnish to guard against moisture in the air during installation. Anything can happen, sometimes there are delays. So, to prevent moisture from getting inside, we impregnate the outside of our core with varnish. Not all companies or competitors do this, but we stick to this approach. Because Russia is a very large country and all the regions have different climate factors.
The bushing has not only internal but also external insulation. It always comes in the form of dishes or ribs, as they are properly called. They help prevent what's called surface flashover and ensure reliable operation of the equipment by protecting the internal insulation from contamination and moisture. The plant has developed a technology that allows polymer ribs to be applied directly to the insulating core. You said the coating's exterior is polymer. I remember there was a ceramic one.
No, we still have it now. But we give the customer the right to choose. Indeed, porcelain insulation has been known for more than 100 years. Porcelain can get damaged, it can break, right? So damage to one or several ribs can lead to the complete destruction of the porcelain housing. Look, we can easily squeeze a rib. We can crush it, and the rib doesn't get damaged at all. It returns to its original position again.
I assume it's much lighter.
It's lighter and it's also easier to install because it even allows you to slightly compress these ribs. The only thing here is the use of non-steel slings, yes, so that we don't pierce it separately with wire, but use polyester slings instead. Well, polyester slings are used almost everywhere now.
After applying the external insulation, the bushing is moved to the assembly area. Here, it is given the appearance of a finished product. A current carrying rod, flanges and seals are added, and if necessary, it is filled with compound. At each of the above stages, thorough quality control is carried out, since the cost of a mistake is very high. And after assembly, the finished bushing goes to that very testing laboratory, which looks more like a space base.
Here, the full range of electrical tests is carried out. Here, both lightning impulses and switching impulses are simulated. That is, the entire range of requirements that we must meet before releasing our product is fulfilled here. This is the most important test for our products. Every product goes through this stage without exception. When I saw it for the first time,
I thought,
that when there,
remember, when the management pulls the switch, people here will start running around.
that's quite...
A glow may appear to start, but in reality, nothing will happen externally.
If the products, thank God, are made properly and the worker at each station has done his job as he should and completed everything necessary, then yes, as a rule, there are no serious sound or light effects happening here.
In the next room, there is another testing stand. Here, they test high voltage cable fittings of their own production. But most importantly, the enterprise is about the people. We've created the best possible conditions for them here.
We have multi-generational families, people who have worked here for more than 100 or even 150 years in total. We have married couples who work at the company. Our employees are actively involved in volleyball, football, table tennis, badminton, and they play chess. We hold sports competitions and we compete against neighboring companies. Mainly, of course, this is what also unites and brings the team together. We have created the most comfortable conditions for our employees. To make it convenient for them to get here from Moscow, we have corporate buses. For those employees who live in the region, corporate transportation is also provided. They are picked up by very comfortable buses, taken to the plant, and brought back at the end of the workday. We have a wonderful cafeteria. We also provide meal subsidies, and there is a fuel subsidy if people come to work using their own transportation. We remember the victory of our ancestors. We created an eternal flame memorial at our company. At our company, we held a family day and we invited employees' children because we believed that this history should be passed down from generation to generation. And the children who came to us can proudly say, I saw how my mom works, I saw how my dad works, and I am proud that my parents work at the Izolyator factory.
When the factory turns 130 years old, it is now going through another stage of rapid development. A second production site is being built nearby, as well as a separate facility in India. Exports are growing, innovations are being implemented, and a lot of work is being done, including in Donbass. The general director of the Izolyator group of companies, Alexander Slavinsky, talks about this.
Tell me, what exactly makes the enterprise unique? Izolyator isn't the only plant of its kind in Russia, is it? Is that it?
In this class of equipment that we produce today, that is, with such completeness and variety of the product line, we are the only enterprise. That is, other enterprises that can partially make some products, partially produce them somehow, but in general, conceptually, in the voltage class from 35 kV to 1,150 of all types, transformers, reactors, circuit breakers, there is no such plant in the Russian Federation. Moreover, there is no such plant in the entire CIS, and there are only 7 of them in the world.
What else makes your products unique? What innovations can be applied and used in such products, or do you also use them?
There is a wide field for innovation because the specifics of a high voltage device, such as a high voltage bushing, provide a huge area for exploration. First of all, it's about searching for new materials, searching for technological processes that will allow these materials to be used in production, to improve them in some way, to refine them in some way. This includes everything from simple drying elements to mixing various compounds. If we're talking about epoxy resins, there are systems for processing and improving the quality of transformer oil. So, both in terms of materials and in terms of technology. And when new materials become tested and proven suitable for production, well, sometimes in order to make them easier to manufacture, you also need to change the design of the products. If you take our products, similar in application from the 1970s and today, well, just to start with, they weigh 4 times less now.
4 times?
Yes? Well, just by weight. No, obviously, in both cases, you still need a crane for installation. You can't move it by hand. But still, the amount of material used has decreased, so it's clear that the cost price has also gone down, and that's where the economics come in.
And what about import substitution? Are there any serious challenges for you? Are you maybe switching to domestic technologies?
Yes. Well, the issue of innovation and searching for new materials always comes down to the question, where is this material produced? Our main task is to do everything we can, not just to find this material somewhere else, but to find it or help organize its production in Russia. So that's why we participate in a huge number of projects supported by our relevant ministries, primarily the Ministry of Industry. Since I also serve as the head of a department at the Moscow Power Engineering Institute, we also work through the Ministry of Education. So we are constantly working together to find opportunities to create sustainable Russian production of the materials and components that we use. And not just us, but the entire Russian electrical engineering and power engineering industries.
Well, you're building another facility right now, as we've heard.
That's exactly why we're building a new facility, but it's not so much about expanding demand as it is, like I said, about ensuring self-sufficiency for Russian production. So first and foremost, we'll be making component parts there for our own assembly. Polymer composite insulator housings, which we currently purchase from abroad, but once we build our own plant, we'll start making them ourselves. So making it in Russia after all, just like I said. Since no one else will do it, we'll have to handle it ourselves.
And what about exports?
Just a short while ago, we were summing up the results of the 25th year, and now the first quarter of the current year. We're already approaching about 50%.
So is the export growing?
The export is growing, but it's growing on its own. So, its share of the increase in our production volume is not because we're reducing domestic supplies, but because the export itself is growing. New customers and new countries are emerging.
New consumers are being brought in?
Well, so to speak, the creation of new capacities is also required in this situation.
And what are the plans for production? I mean, right now, another site for import substitution is being developed specifically for your product purposes. Maybe there are some other grand plans, or maybe not so much.
Well, we definitely have grand plans in terms of international cooperation. As part of our joint venture program, we are currently building a plant in India, which will also have a full production cycle. We have had a joint venture operating there for several years now, where we carry out assembly and testing operations. So now we will create a full technological facility there. This will allow us to increase the overall volume and manage it. Production to slightly reduce the load here and assign other tasks. There is currently huge demand for our products in India. They are experiencing tremendous growth there right now. So during this surge, we shouldn't miss the opportunity to supply our products because our products last a long time and eventually still need to be replaced. So by supplying, say, 1,000 units to India today, we can confidently expect that in 25 or 30 years, our children will receive another order for 1,000 of the same units.
Continuing, that's the key point. Our children will receive it, and then our grandchildren will receive it after that.
Let the children think about the grandchildren. It's enough for me to think about the children.
Editor, besides India, are there any other countries? In Brazil?
Brazil, yes. In Brazil, well, the project there is a bit different in form, but it's also about setting up an assembly production, meaning the first stage of assembly production, which will be focused on the Latin American market. It's quite large there. It's not very high margin, but it's big. And there is also development and demand there. And the main thing is that the kind of technologies we will implement and master there, the Latin continent does not possess.
How can we preserve these technologies if we're building production facilities there?
The thing is, when we talked about exports, we were talking about exporting products. But we've reached a higher level. We're engaged in exporting technologies. That is, Russian technologies are considered advanced in this area and are readily accepted. And as for the markets of those countries, we can also talk about possible projects for establishing production in Turkey. This is an industrially developed country. We had a project, but now, again, due to political reasons, but this time from the other side, as they say, we have a very good relationship and cooperation with Iran. And I really want, but this is just my wish, to still create something serious. And in South Africa,
I wanted to ask about this truth.
we need to make sure that the group's technologies are present on all continents.
I wanted to ask, what's your dream? Here,
Mikhail, I got it for you immediately.
from South Africa. Here, you didn't even have time to.
South Africa.
And does the government help with the implementation of such large projects?
And if we talk about the projects we have today in Russia, then yes, the government of the Moscow region is really helping us a lot to build a new plant because it's being built in the Moscow region. They allocated land to us under a preferential program. And we are supported by the Industrial Mortgage Financing Program for building plants as part of the Import Substitution Program. So there is a clear interest from the government here. Plus, there is also participation from various funds, technological initiatives, and grants. We win R&D projects that are financed by the government either directly or through its structures. For example, Rossetti and other organizations.
What about export projects?
Export projects. Yes, we cooperate with the Russian Export Center. They subsidize us in terms of organizing participation in exhibitions. We were in Saudi Arabia, and before that we had an exhibition, I think in India, where we were also subsidized for participation. So there is a whole support program for those who have export potential, for those who supply. There, transportation is subsidized as well as conducting tests in the country where you want to supply.
Well, and when it comes to building factories, it's basically just partners, right? So you need to look for partners with whom you can create such an enterprise. The government doesn't provide money for that. The thing is,
And thank God it doesn't. Because after all, whatever is built in a third country should be built at the expense of a legal entity from that third country. That is, when we negotiate with our partners, we say, no, guys, we won't invest our own money beyond the authorized capital. Everything beyond that, we go to the bank together, take out a loan locally, and use that loan to build and develop. And the legal entity registered in that country will be responsible for that loan, not its participants or investors from another country. Because investing money in this way is an insane risk.
Well, so it's enough that you are actually exporting Russian technologies and know-how. Yes.
At the same time, you fully retain the rights and the center of expertise remains in Russia. Because none of our joint ventures abroad will be able to develop a single design on their own.
The most important thing is brains.
Of course. That brain power is in good hands.
At the Izolyator plant, we saw a rare combination of tradition and modern technology, stability and rapid development. Perhaps this is the secret of the enterprise, which has been guaranteeing the country a supply of quality products for 130 years. We congratulate the team on the anniversary and wish them new victories.